God, I pray right now for every student in this region, every student at Oxford High School. God, I just pray that you meet them right where they are. Let them know that they are loved and you see their pain and you're with them in their pain and you feel their pain. God, I pray to you right now, Lord, that you be the God of comfort. God, I pray that you heal like only you can heal. God, I pray for every student still in that hospital room. God, I pray for great wisdom like only you can give to all the physicians and the doctors. God, I pray that you supernaturally give them an ability to heal and mend like they've never healed and mended before. God, I pray for every parent of every student. God, I pray that you let them know that you are there. God, I pray that this becomes a community, a greater region that comes together in times of division and loves people well. God, I pray that we love each other in circumstances like this, like we've never loved before. God, I pray that people see your face in the way that we love one another and we come around this community.
Welcome to the Dripping in Black podcast, where we celebrate Black excellence throughout the Black diaspora. Here's your host, David V. Lewis.
What's up, good people all across the world? This is the Dripping in Black podcast. I am your host, David V. Lewis. And per usual, we have another fantastic guest who represents Black excellence across the Black diaspora. Today's guest is Mr. Jalen Seawright. Jalen, say hello to the world.
Hey, everybody. It's good to be with y'all.
Yeah. Real excited to talk to this young man. Got his hands in quite a few things. And so the conversation will kind of bounce around. But we always like to introduce our guests to our audience. And I begin with a somewhat convoluted question, I think. And that is, who are they? So who is Jalen Seawright?
Man, that's interesting because that's a question I feel like I'm still defining, man. As seasons go on in my life, I think I'm always in a state of becoming, and I'm good with that. You know, I'm real good with that. It's something that I think, culture kind of doesn't necessarily make easy for you to understand. I think everybody kind of expects for you to have it together, have it all figured out, or at least present yourself in that way. But as I say, man, I'm comfortable saying like I'm becoming. I'm a very confident, proud Black man. I am a married man. I'm a husband first. I'm a father of two beautiful girls, Carrington and Cadence. They're my world. Wow. I got another one on the way coming in February. And so I'm a true girl dad. That's what I am. That's what I do. I paint the nails. I do the hair, all that stuff. I'm a confident and very proud Black father. Now I'd say part of what makes me me is I'm musical and artistic in everything that I do. So if I had to sum it up real quick, I'd say I am a Black husband and father who's driven by artistic expression. That's me in a nutshell.
Man, that's the most poetic response we've had to date. That's pretty good. All right. So where are you from?
Man, I'm from Pontiac. My dad is a Pontiacer. My mom's a Detroiter. So I spent my younger years in Pontiac, but I graduated high school in a city called Oxford, Michigan, which is about a half hour north of Pontiac. And so I still claim the Yak, though. I still do, even though I didn't graduate high school from there. But Pontiac's where I'm from. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm curious about, because I don't know you personally, but we have you on. How did this come about? You coming on to the Dripping in Black podcast?
And I call him my Uncle Sean Smith. I'm telling you, he knew me ever since I came, into this world. And when I was a knuckleheaded little boy, I mean, a lot of people know me for my music. I mean, music is what I do. And just like he tells it, I tell it the same. He was my first music teacher, my first official music teacher in church. He started teaching me keys, and that's the instrument I stuck with. That's my main thing. And so that's how I heard about Dripping in Black. And yeah, I'm just grateful to be here because it's like, wow, Sean's one of my heroes. So to be able to be a part of anything he's a part of, I feel like I've arrived. I've made it.
All right. Shout out to S Squared. All right. So let's get into it. So you are a musician by trade. What kind of music do you make?
Man, yeah, I mean, I'd say I'm a musician by trade, by profession too. That's kind of the way that I feed my family. But I kind of do whatever I get. But I started off in gospel. Gospel was my thing. I sing and I play keys. That's kind of the two things I do. And I write a lot, but I ended up getting off into jazz for a little minute, and then really spent like most of my adult life so far. I've been in a lot of CCM circles, a lot of big white church circles, which is a whole different kind of conversation about what that's like. But that's kind of like the way that I've been, perceived as a musician. So music's what I do. I do just about anything. I work on R&B projects. I've got a project I do right now called the Detroit Sound, where I assemble like some of the best artists in the industry around Metro Detroit. And we come together in a room, and we all get together kind of like a Motown feel. And what we do is we bring our gifts and our talents together, and we use them to find up and coming artists who might not have the means to be able to get their music heard. And what we do is we then produce and figure out a way to display their art, their original music, their original craft, whatever they're doing. And we produce it for them and put them out there, hoping to give them a platform with our platform. So we're trying to find the new sound of Metro Detroit by helping a lot of the kids and the people that don't really have the means to meet the right people, but are great in their own sense. So we're focused mostly on, through Detroit Sound with music, we're focused on mostly young people of color, black and brown, beautiful kings and queens that are producing and killing it in music. We're trying to give them more platform.
Yeah. I got to be honest, man. You keep tossing this word young out, and I'm looking at you like, man, how old is this dude? You said you had 2 daughters and married. Whoa, wait a minute. So,
man.
Tell me how old you are, and tell me how long have you been in the music game?
Oh man. Well, first off, I got this baby face and I'm using the mess out of it, but I am pretty young though. I'm 29. I'm just shy of 30.
Okay.
But I was married at 23. And I had my first at 25, and then 15 months later, I had my second. And then my wife and I said, well, hey, I think there's some pills or candy that can stop these kids from coming. So we took a little break for a while before we got pregnant with this one that's on the way. I've been in the music thing, I'd probably say since I was about 14, I've been making money up from it, but I've been playing and doing my thing probably since I was about 5 or 6.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. And so paint a picture for me. A week in the life of Jalen Seawright from a musical professional standpoint. What is it like?
Oh man, this is when I was talking, like what I said earlier about becoming, man. A week in the life of Jalen Seawright right now makes no sense, man. I'm finding new lanes right now, and I'm actually kind of shying out of music. I left staff of a really big, predominantly white church back in January of this year, and ever since, like the past 11 months have just been crazy. I've stepped into a lot of justice work. I've been developing a whole lot of content around making sure black men, black fathers are represented well. I use my social media platforms to do that because I got tired of hearing this in the past 18 to 24 months. I got tired of hearing that the problem with the black community is fatherlessness. And I was like, man, I know so many black dudes that are amazing fathers.
Yeah.
And so I've really been I linked up with a couple black dudes, black fathers in the Detroit area, got on board with what they were doing and really just trying to push black excellence from a black father's perspective. I've been in both worlds, man. I've been with some of the most racist white people, to date. And I've been in some of the most blackest places and just urban black culture as it gets. And the thing is for me, I see so clearly the dividing lines and the things that keep us apart, and all the racist systems and constructs that are doing exactly what they were created to do. And I feel like I have a different lens and a different eyesight into how to approach and honestly dismantle some of those walls and systems. And so I've really taken an approach with my life right now through trying to come through the back door of certain systems with the leverage that I have in the white community. And so, man,
Wow.
I'm just doing a lot of stuff. So a week in the life of Jalen, I mean, I'm on planes constantly right now. So I'm working out in LA with a mentor of mine, got some work in San Francisco as well that I'm doing. So I'm out there probably 2 weeks out of the month. And then I'm here in Detroit, and I'm always cooking some music or doing some kind of justice work around the Metro Detroit area. So it's all over the place. And then when I'm home, I'm chilling with my girls.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And so part of that travel has to deal with, I think, this nonprofit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
And like I told y'all, I was on staff at this predominantly white church. I mean, huge church, between 15, 20,000 members, big church. And the pandemic hit, and I don't know if any of y'all noticed that a lot of the hoods came out during that time. And when I say hoods, I'm talking about the white ones with the little peepholes in them.
Yes, indeed.
And just to be honest with you, I realized I was doing all the music at this church, and don't let me paint this church in a bad light in any ways, because there were beautiful leaders, beautiful people there. I love that community. I'm still in relationship with them. But at the same time, I realized how much I was stifled. I couldn't really be myself. I couldn't express myself as a proud black man. And I couldn't express my full self, which means all the pain and trauma that has brought me to who I am today. And so basically, I was in a situation where I had to either shut up or I had to go. And so I decided to go.
Wow.
And when I left, I said, I still have a huge heart for there to be more bridges built between the black and white community, because the white community holds a ton of power and a ton of resources. And don't get me wrong, the black community has a ton of resources and power as well. But because of systems and different things and policies, racist policies and things like that, it's like I knew that there was no escaping, right, for the black community unless there was something done to at least turn the hearts of a few powerful white folks. And so I said, how do we do it? And so I came up with this idea to start a nonprofit that is all about stories, all about presenting different narratives that are different than the ones you see in the media. And so we collect video stories and things like that, but it's multicultural. I've got an Asian American lawyer. She's a woman. She's Korean, and she's killing it in justice work in law. And I've got a white guy from San Francisco on my team. He is an educator. He's got his doctorate in education with a focus in curriculum writing. I've got a Korean American pastor on my team. I'm a proud black man on the team, leading the team. And I've got a Caucasian American woman on the team, really focused on justice work. And our whole idea is to paint different pictures of marginalized communities, telling their stories well and presenting it to white businesses and corporations and venture capital companies to get them to do this diversity kind of training with their staff. So that's what we is all about. Yeah.
Wow. That's a powerful work, man. We're in line, or we're in alignment. We focus here on Black excellence, and the primary purpose of focusing on Black excellence is the common narrative is that Black is not excellent. Black
Exactly.
is thugs. Blacks is in trouble. I didn't even think about on a deep level what you mentioned earlier about the absentee Black father. That's such a common narrative. And Sean and I talk quite a bit about all the fathers that we know who happen to be Black. And so that's interesting to wonder if that's one of those more common, more modern day tricks that we've come to accept within our community. That's really not true.
Exactly.
But I like where you're headed with yours, because it's more inclusive, and we need that as well, right?
Yeah.
We need that in terms of bridging the gap, right? We need this platform we have with Dripping in Black to focus on Black excellence and counter that negative of Black folks, just with a preponderance of stories of Black excellence. But we also need that gap to be bridged, because we're not anti-white by any stretch of the imagination with Dripping in Black. We're just celebrating Black excellence. So tremendous work that you're doing.
Thank you.
All right. So I just wanted to give you kudos there.
Thank you.
So now I want to ask you, you're 29, right? You started, you said, at 14.
Yeah, music. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What could your 29-year-old self tell your 14-year-old self?
Woo, man, so many things. How much time we got? No, but man, I'll be honest, man. I'll be vulnerable for a minute, and especially if there's any young Black dudes listening, man, be disciplined. Be disciplined. Like, don't ride just your natural ability. Your natural ability will get you very far. I mean, I know it, but the thing is like, we are so talented as a people. I mean, like, we are the culture to look to when it comes to art. Other people, other races and cultures are constantly copying our music. They're copying our art, our dance moves, everything. You look at Black influence is so prevalent. So we are talented by nature, by design, the way God made us. We are just dripping, as y'all's podcast says, man. And so I say to the young Black dude, don't stop there with this natural talent. You got to develop it. Not say to myself, my 14-year-old self is, Jay, man, you got it. You're good, but sit down and practice. Practice. Like apply yourself. Like beat yourself into submission in some places, and you can't afford to just have all the fun. You need to hone in on this craft. And there was so much grace for me in it, because I mean, I got that rhythm, a little later on, and I was able to make up some game, but there's still those moments in my life right now where I'm like, man, if only I had really thought this out. I had the idea when I was 16, when I was 14, but if I would have really applied myself, I could have. And I'm not living in regret by any means, but at the same time, I'd say to my 14-year-old self is, sit down, buckle yourself in, and just focus, be disciplined. That's what I say.
Yeah, man, that's great advice. And I like where you took it. That's really my intention when I asked that question, is for the younger viewers and listeners to think about where they are at this moment, and hopefully can learn from those words. All right, so now I have a two-part. The first part, I want you to look at it from the standpoint of your music profession and where you are. All right, so you are at a certain level right now in your music game, right? And you want to take it to the next level. Right. And there's a switch that you flip and you're at that next level. What does that next level look like?
Man, that next level is it has less to do with music and more about ownership. What I'm noticing is that there are so many African Americans, extremely talented artists, who are cool, with being on the stage and making their money that way. No knock to them at all. But you look at the top of these companies, and I love that you said that y'all aren't anti-white by any means, because I'm not either. But you look at the top of all these companies, and I've worked with and sat in rooms with a lot of these bigger companies that are pumping out a lot of black music, a lot of some of the stuff that are hitting top Billboard charts, and it's all white up there. It's all white up there. Only every
Wow.
once in a while will you get the Babyface Edmonds or the L.A. Reid, and
Yeah.
very, very, or Jermaine Dupri. Those are not common names when you get to
Yeah.
the top. Those are
Yeah.
black folks aren't common faces there. So for me, the switch that I would flip is it has to do with ownership. I would love to see myself or help someone else who's black get to the place where there's an entertainment company, label, and all the bells and whistles that goes with it that's completely black owned. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. Wow. That's dope. So now I'm gonna ask the same question
Mhm.
with regards to your nonprofit. So your
Yeah.
nonprofit is here. You want to take it to the next level. You can flip a switch. What does that next level look like?
Man, that next level, it looks like a more empathetic and just society, right? So
Wow.
have people walking more and talking more about people's stories and their context rather than news titles and rather than laws and legislation. I think we get caught up in terms. A lot of things that divide us is the fact that we talk about things we don't know anything about. And I hear white people and black people do the same thing. I hear us all do it all together. And so my heart would be that flip, that switch is instead of talking about statistics, how many black people are this a year and how many or whatever else, is to more hear about stories. Let me tell you about this black father I know from Detroit, because that can do more than a statistic. If I bring your heartstrings to feel something about someone, it'll change your entire perspective of maybe even a particular race. So my light switch for that is it would look like I flipped the switch and we would have more empathetic people around us, specifically more empathetic majority culture, our white sisters and brothers.
All right. Yeah. Excellent, man. And so now the Dripping in Black podcast is growing. We're looking for exponential growth. It's going to reach the world. You have a world full of supporters out there now. What can some of the supporters that this podcast is going out to do tangibly to help you attain those next levels? So, consider both of them. What can supporters do to help you attain that next level in music? And what can supporters do to help you reach that next level with your nonprofit?
Man, I mean, the first thing is I'm a man of faith, and I never deny that, man. So if you pray out there, pray because I think that there's so many things stacked up against our community, and when you try to do something good, certain people and certain spiritual powers don't like it. And so I say prayers, but first thing I always ask for. The second thing I ask for, which is very important too, is there's a way to donate to We. And the way to donate to We is we have a website. It's through abide.community/we. And you can also find me on social media. It's just my last name, Seawright, SEAWRIGHT, 2 underscores. And you can find information there about my nonprofit, which is We Collectively on Instagram and Facebook. And so there's a way you can donate there, and you can find other ways to support there too. You can sponsor a trip. We're going to be doing these trips next summer, these civil rights tours through the South. And so there's lots of ways to jump in and support that way.
Yeah. And could you use human resources in terms of volunteers and things of that nature as well?
Yeah, I mean, especially with a lot of the Detroit sound kind of stuff, we're looking at partnering with another organization in the summer of 2023 for a festival on the riverfront in Detroit. And so we're constantly trying to align different powers that be, as well as volunteers that can jump into things like that. I'll have more information popping up within the next 6 months on that. And then also I'm constantly doing community development and service work within, Black and brown communities, Flint, Pontiac, and Detroit. So you can find information about that stuff on my Instagram page and my Facebook as well.
Yeah, drop those again. Drop that website again and your social media again one more time.
My Instagram page, where you can find all the websites at too, is my last name, which is Seawright, SEAWRIGHT with 2 underscores. And that right there will lead you to it all, even my website and everything else. So I won't give y'all too much. I'll just give y'all my Instagram. It'll lead you right to where you need to go.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to get now to the last, final, and most important question of our podcast. All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Have you ever been on the cover of a magazine?
No, not yet. Not yet. Never been on
What?
the cover of a magazine. No.
What? Okay.
Never been on the cover
No
of
church magazine, no nothing.
No, that I could think of. No, I mean, I had a baby picture one time back in the 90s. It was real popular to put your child on a magazine for a picture. I had one of those, but no.
That counts?
Say it again.
That one counts?
That one counts.
Count
Yeah,
that?
okay, there's that. I mean, I've been on a ton of pamphlets and informational books and all kind of stuff like that. But as far as a magazine, but maybe one day I'll grace the cover of Ebony. We'll see.
Well, before you get to Ebony, there's one thing that we do for all of our guests here. And my producer, S-Squared Sean Smith, your mentor, is going to pull up your picture. But we placed you on the cover of the Dripping in Black magazine.
Oh, man. Okay, I vibe with that right there. My first magazine cover, Dripping in Black. I love it.
Sir.
I love it.
It's nothing quite like the first time either. So when you hit Ebony, make sure you let them know where you started off. And that's Dripping in Black.
This is more special than Ebony right here. This is my first one. Yes.
Yeah. All right. And so that's also a parting gift that we will send out as a thank you for coming on to the show. And you can look over my shoulder. I got quite a few guests from the first season that are on my wall of fame. And we will definitely put Jalen Seawright up there in the not too distant future.
Man, I love it. Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking forward to seeing what you do next, man. I think we have a kindred mission. I think there's things for us to do together down the line. And I'm just so glad that I met you. And I'm proud of the work you're doing. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you do next. I want to thank you again for coming out to the Dripping in Black podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's been such an honor to be here with y'all. I'm honored.
Yeah, we'll ask the audience to hang on for the final segment of our podcast called The Last Drip. But thanks again to the talented Jalen. Hey, Jalen, one of the things that I always wish I could do is sing, man. I don't know anybody who can't sing that doesn't wish they could sing, man. So that right there, hit a couple of notes for us.
Oh, man, you put me on the spot. Let's see. I guess I'll have to go to a little Marvin Gaye. We're in the Motown, right? Mother, there's far too many of you crying. And brother, there's far too many of you dying.
All right, don't give him no more. We got to charge him for the rest. All right, we appreciate you, man. Again, thanks
y'all
for coming out. Everybody else hang on for the last drip. But thanks again to Jalen Seawright.
Thank you.
Up next, The Last Drip.
On the sea you spoke a word and it was stilled. You showed us you were greater than my God, you're greater still. Great are you, Lord, our hiding place. Come fill this space. God who fights for us, the battle's yours, it's already won.
A Dripping in Black thanks Jalen Seawright. We thank him for stopping by and sharing his inspirational story with us, and we wish him much success in all of his pursuits. However, we have reached the final segment of our podcast called The Last Drip. The last drip is the last opportunity for us to squeeze in a bit more of Black excellence for you. In this final segment, we highlight a common thread between our guests and our vast and rich African American history. All right, for this episode, we highlight the legacy of the late, great Sammy Davis Jr. Born December 8th, 1925 in Harlem, New York, Davis was a performer at an early age. He was born to performing parents, and by the time he was 8 years old, he had already appeared in 2 movies. When he turned 18, he was drafted into the United States Army. It was during his service days that Davis eventually learned that his ability to perform enabled him to overcome bigotry and prejudice from the white soldiers, a valuable lesson that he would use going forward. In the 1960s, he was one of the prominent members of the Rat Pack, in which he shared the stage with the likes of Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra. As an A-list celebrity, Davis refused to work at venues which would practice racial segregation. His demands would eventually lead to integration of nightclubs in Miami and casinos in Las Vegas. Davis's long career in show business was even more remarkable. He managed to break color barriers in an era of segregation. He was one of very few stars, African American or white, to receive an Emmy, Tony, and Grammy Award nominations. He supported the civil rights movement of the 1960s, appearing publicly with people like Dr. Martin Luther King and raising thousands of dollars in benefit concerts to support the civil rights activists and activities. Davis's illustrious career as a dancer, singer, comedian, actor, and multi-instrumentalist spanned more than 5 decades, earning him the well-deserved nickname, Mr. Show Business. Very, very busy person throughout his career, a lot like our young guest, Jalen Seawright. Also like our guest, Jalen Seawright, his ability to bridge the gap between the Black and white audiences and bring them together is why he's this episode's last drip. For more on the tremendous story of Sammy Davis Jr., check out notablebiographies.com, blackpast.org, and biography.com. My thanks to all of these websites for the knowledge. There is much more detail to Sammy Davis Jr.'s story, and I hope this is just an appetizer to encourage you to go learn more about him. Fantastic entertainer, known throughout the world, and just opened so many doors. Had an interesting political career in which he supported the rights of Black people and Black power, but also supported Republican candidates. So I encourage you to go check out more about Sammy Davis Jr. Very, very interesting figure in our history. We'll have to leave it there. I want to let the audience know that the DIBK Drip Shop is open. Go to dibkdripshop.com to cop the latest Drippin' in Black merch. And as always, a huge thanks to all of our listeners, viewers, supporters, and subscribers. And until next time, be kind, be loving, and be excellent on purpose. It is a choice.
You have just experienced a Dripping in Black production.